Remember when your in-laws finally acknowledged your existence and that their daughter didn't marry a total bum? You decided to take a video of that day and you chose the wrong focal length and you made grandma look a little too chubby. Now that day feels like a room temperature soda on a hot day. Well, I'm gonna make sure that that mistake never happens again, John, because they kind of don't like you now. Again, you're back to square one. What's going on, everybody? My name is Asmi Hongos, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to correctly use each lens on the back of your phone. If you think about your favorite movies, they have a visual and emotional effect on you because there's someone dedicated to choosing each shot with detail so that it can fulfill the need of the story. And these shots can all be simmered down to three options: your wides, your mediums, and your tights. And we're gonna go down each of them in this video. But remember, getting a great shot also is determined by how clean your lens is, so make sure to check out this video. The wide lens. This is used to establish the scene and give the audience spatial awareness. These are probably the most epic shots you'll see. Think about Harry Potter going to Hogwarts, the Avengers in New York City, you at 1:37 a.m. eating Chick-fil-A because you can't put your life together. These are very important details. How can we apply this to our own videos? Well, we already did. And if you're starting your YouTube channel, you want to use this wide angle lens to give your audience a sense of who you are. I mean, just with me, you can tell that I love Odessa, I love two-door cinema, I'm an Apple fanboy, and because of my flat accent and my constant hand movement like there's no tomorrow, that I'm from the dump known as California, God help us, and I'm giving you that information within less than 30 seconds. Apply this to your own location and try to give the audience as much information as possible. For yourself, consider where you're placing the camera when you're first starting off your videos. A problem that I definitely had when I first started making videos online was I didn't give enough information to the audience, right? They didn't have any sense of my personality, and that's why it's important to use a pretty wide lens. But do take note about some of the quirks of the ultra wide lens. First, it is the second sharpest lens in the three-set arsenal. Number two, you're gonna need as much light as possible. I happen to have a softbox, which is why the image is so good as I'm shooting this on my iPhone. And number three, the wide lens creates distortion. And this isn't exclusive to the iPhone. I think the iPhone does a pretty good job. If you're using the rule of thirds, I typically don't want to go outside the middle lines. That's because my face will look distorted or not correctly. The wide angle lens is very powerful to establish a scene, but I would use it sparingly with people as it can definitely make someone look like they gain 5 pounds. And if you're watching your figure like I am, then just be careful with that stylistic choice. The reason that I actually love the ultra wide lens though is because I get to punch in and punch out in post, and this can make it look like I have a plethora of focal lengths. But it's something that I have to keep in the back of my head, that I can't just punch in and punch out, as it doesn't have the same effect as if it was naturally a tight lens. The medium shot in movies is typically used between dialogue. You get to see a little bit more of the body and the character's body language, and it's a really nice Goldilocks zone. The medium shot is between 35 to 85 millimeters. I think, however, for the iPhone is at 24, but I try to set it to 35 millimeters, and that's my preferred focal length. If you've been on this channel for more than 3 videos, you know that I don't shut up about 35 millimeters, and that's because it is the focal length of our eyes. So it just feels very natural and organic. The medium lens is also the sharpest, typically the one that gets all the features first, like cinematic mode or action mode, and the one that will just let in a bunch of light. And that's what's most important. It's always about the light and how much you're letting in. And as we move along from medium to tight, you'll notice that the camera gets closer and closer, which means that more detail and people become more self-conscious. It happened to me for quite a few years, but the magic trick, and please use this, is your hands. You want to use your hands as much as possible, like you're naturally talking to a person. Often we hide our hands behind our back and try to be as stiff as possible, but that's why it's often used so much in cinema, because people typically talk with their hands. That's legitimately the best trick for the medium shot. You typically can't hide too much with your body language or your head, so really try to embrace that. For the medium shot, you can start to see just a bit of blurriness, or bokeh as it's called. However, where you're really going to start to see compression, you're going to be able to hide quite a lot of details especially if you're shy in front of the camera, is in the tight shot. The tight shot is exactly what it sounds like. You're very, very close to the character. You're emotionally invested. You see every single detail on their face. Take a look at how Casey Neistat brings the camera to drive in a point for the audience.
What is my conclusion on all of this? It goes like this. Dreams are important. Having goals, ambition, these are the things that drive life.
Or how a gunslinging battle in a Western movie drives the tension by focusing on the character's eyes, their hands to grab the gun, and it really reflects what the character is feeling. The iPhone's tight lens is actually the worst in the bunch. It's the least sharp, lets in the least amount of light, and I'm just not a particular fan of the engineering. I found this to be the most challenging lens because of that aspect. The best way to really use it is when you have an abundant amount of light. And I don't just mean this softbox right here, I mean like light outside. This is when you get the product shot and when you get to see a lot of bokeh and in the background. The best trick to apply though is what I call the wide tight effect. You choose the wide angle lens, look at the frame and its composition, and then try to replicate that with the tight lens. This is by far my favorite trick and one that I use all the freaking time because it just looks really, really good. But it all really depends on the size of your room and how much light is let in. So for that reason, I try to use it as least as possible. The most important thing to know with tight lens though is that it can add a lot of tension. In the end, it really is all about combining these focal length and developing your style through a lot of experimentation. If you haven't noticed, this entire video has been shot on the phone. And if I look at myself through the Apple Watch, it looks pretty freaking good, to be honest. Let me know your thoughts down below if it was helpful, or if you would like other tutorials like this with the iPhone. At the end of the day, I thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Asmi Hongos, and I'll catch you in the next one.